If I traded it all, if I gave it all.
So welcome back. So my next guest has been on with me many times, and I am so excited about bringing on David Fisher. He is the CEO of Landmark Capital. David, I'm going to jump in. I want you to talk fast this time because I normally start talking a little bit too much when you first come on. I just want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, what we're going to talk about today.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your program. Once again, as always, it's my pleasure to be on your show. I get so many calls from your show, and people are here locally and also outside of the greater Phoenix area. But I've been in the precious metal industry for 22 years now. I'm the CEO and owner of Landmark Capital here in Phoenix. And I do a lot of radio shows with you and outside of you. And I used to have my own radio program here in the Valley for a few years there. But I have national speaking engagements that goes on, teaches a seminar. I'm in the process of writing a book right now.
Excited about that.
And that's going to be coming out this year. And beyond that, I try to help a lot of people because there's so much information out there that people are not grasping the simple pieces of the puzzle. And once they put the pieces of the puzzle together, because there's a deep down knowing that something's wrong. People feel that. You know, they can tell something didn't really get fixed in 2008, 9, and 10.
11,
12. Let's go on to today. Today, it's really not fixed. And people feel that. They just don't know what will cause the next problem. I don't know that, but I'm going to share some signs today.
Well, what I love about you is that you speak, first of all, you're passionate about it, and you speak for education to teach the layman like me. If I can understand you, then that's great, because that means everybody can. And that's what you make it easy for people to understand. You're not here to scare anyone at all.
No.
You just want to share the information that you know about. You have it all backed up. Go ahead.
Everything I write about and everything I talk about, in fact, if they were here in your studio, they'd see all these articles that I bring with me so I can document. This is, I'm going to quote from Reuters today. I'm going to quote from the Associated Press. I'm going to quote from mainstream media. I'm going to quote from the federal government's website, fdic.gov. I mean, so this is all public knowledge, and I put it together in reports. And so it's not something that's fabricated, hearsay, or speculation. But when people begin to see the picture, they should have a real concern that there is no plan to fix America in our debt structure. In fact, there's no plan amongst the world, and that's the big problem. There is no plan to get the world out of debt, except for doing something drastic.
So, but you have a plan. You have a plan that you've created, and I want to talk a little bit about that. We're going to give it away to everybody today. Go ahead.
Well, I actually didn't, I'd like to thank you for the credit, but I can't take credit for something I didn't do. There's a lawyer that created the plan, and it created after a law that was passed called the Taxpayer Relief Act in 1997, which allows you to transfer and roll over your retirement from paper assets like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or cash in the bank into physical precious metals and take possession of those metals without a tax liability. And many people don't understand that this is a legal thing. It can be done. It's being done for years, but most people don't understand it. I put together a couple white papers, one specifically on this and how this was tested by the IRS. And in a court of law, the IRS lost because they're trying to, get everybody's money and control everybody's money. Well, what it does, it puts the control of the money of the person in their hands. So I believe nobody's going to take care of their money better than that person. And that's what this does. It puts the money in their hands without a tax liability. So we've created that white paper. We're the cheapest in town in reference to the cost of setting up an LLC. Now, I want just a side note. If you don't have an IRA, because I don't want to confuse people, if you don't have an IRA, 401k, then this doesn't apply to them. There's no need to go through the process of setting up an IRA and having an LLC, which the cost is $385 for out-of-state people that want to do this. If you're in Arizona, it costs us $350. My competitors are $995 to $1995. So I've partnered with a lawyer. We've been doing this for the last 6 years with him that is very cost-effective, and he does it in a timely manner.
So you make it affordable for everybody to do it. Now, you can help anyone from anywhere, so we're going to give it to everyone. We want everyone to have it. It's private storage, a precious metals IRA as easy as 123. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. We're just going to let everyone call in for it. We've got a lot of information today, so we may or may not be able to take a caller, but if we will see what we can do about that. But we want everyone to have us so we can call in. Just give us your name and number, and we're going to get you connected with him. So today we are going to be talking about what?
Well, I want to piggyback what we talked about just a few days ago on your show, because it caused a lot of ruckus in my office. And
is that a good thing?
Well, when people hear something on the radio and they go like, "Where'd you get that from?" They want to question it. It's like, and I encourage everybody, if you don't know where I got this information from, just call our office. You don't have to buy anything. There's no pressure learning. We believe in education. But when I was on your program here last, I talked about Obama looting the Treasury for $7.8 billion. Now, this is not my words. This came out in the New York Post. The article's right here. In fact, the title of the article is "Obama is looting the Treasury to pay off insurers." This was on February 21st. So I wanted to say that up front, because we got a lot of people asking, where did you find that? It's public knowledge. It's in the New York Post. And just so that everybody knows who didn't hear me last time, what this is the Affordable Care Act, which I've talked about on your program, and how this relates to the bail-in. The Affordable Care Act was pushed on us to say, hey, you're going to have cheaper insurance. It's going to be a good thing. The insurance companies are going to stand on their own. They wrote all the Obama Health Care Plan, the Affordable Care Act around this, where everybody can have insurance. And I was saying way back then, that's when I had my radio program, this is impossible financially. It's going to cost more. And it's going to cause insurance carriers to raise their fee structure. And certainly that's what has happened. Everybody I've talked to, not one person has said their insurance went lower since the Obamacare.
Well, let me just say something, okay? Because last year I had my own insurance.
Yeah.
And the insurance company went out of the insurance business. They just decided that they didn't want to be in it anymore. It's too competitive, I'm sure now. So I had to get new insurance. I had no choice. And so, guess what? I couldn't afford it. It was just crazy out there of how much it was. And so you're right. Insurance did go up. Unaffordable.
My rates went up 28%. Nothing changed my health. I'm healthy as an ox. Same with everybody in my family that's under the policy. 28%.
I know.
Okay? So here's what's happening in this article. United Healthcare and Aetna are the two primary underwriters for the Affordable Care Act. Now, think with me. It's not an Affordable Care Act, really. Okay? They're losing billions of dollars by their own admittance. And President Obama, in the Affordable Care Act, was written into law saying that the law states a fixed share of the revenue that comes from insurance shall be deposited in the general fund of the Treasury of the United States and may not be used to offset insurance company losses. That is the exact verbiage of the law of the Affordable Care Act. What did President Obama do? He said, I don't care. I'm going to give them money. He gave them so far on February 12th, $7.7 billion to those two agencies.
Our money.
So when people talk about this thing called a bailout or bail-in, they say, I don't know if that would really ever happen here, because ignorance is bliss is what people really would like to say. But the reality is, here's a great example right here. Just happened this year, last month, just a day ago last month. This is a bail-in and a bail-out at the same time. They bailed out two insurance companies on the taxpayers' money on bailing into the Treasury, and he went directly against the law in saying he cannot do this according to his own law called the Affordable Care Act. So when people say, oh, he doesn't have the right to do that, well, here's a great example. Yeah, you're right. Here's a law that was set up that says he doesn't have the right, and it's his own law, and yet he goes against his own law. So it's like, what side of the fence you want to be on? Well, we have a law that says he can legally do this. It's called the Dodd-Frank Act that was passed into law in 2012. Actually, it's passed in 2010, and it was modified in 2012. The original law was 834 pages. They modified the law to adding 8,000 more pages, and currently today, The Dodd-Frank Act now is the largest piece of legislation in history of our country, has over 30,000 pages of legislation. This is the law, Carol, for the bail-in, the seizure of assets of our citizens seized by our country. Now, I want to explain why they might possibly do this. Because if all the listeners, if you become engaged with yourself, forget what I'm saying. Just think about what's going on inside of you and ask yourself this question. Let's take a look at the pieces of the picture that America is facing. In fact, not just America, the world. And we'll come back after the break. I'm going to tell you about 4 or 5 pieces that will resonate in your spirit.
You also have a white paper that you wrote, The Coming Bail-In, How to Avoid It from Affecting You. We're going to give it to everyone. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You can have both the private storage of precious metals, IRA, as easy as 123, and also the white paper on The Coming Bail-In. Give us a call here at 602-277.
We have an accident in Tempe at the 101 southbound in Broadway. Another accident in downtown Phoenix at the 10 eastbound and 7th Ave. Another accident in Phoenix at 10 westbound University. Every child deserves enough. That's what you can give to a child in poverty when you sponsor through Compassion International. Find out how at compassion.com/radio.
From the KFNX Weather Bug Weather Center, as we head into the evening, mostly clear tonight, low 57. Tomorrow, Wednesday, a sunny day and a high of 88. Mostly clear Wednesday night, low 57. Sunny day on Thursday, high 88. Mostly clear Thursday night, low 56. Sunny on Friday, high 87. Partly cloudy Friday night, low 56. I'm Jim Tice from the KFNX Weather Bug Weather Center.
Currently, in downtown Phoenix, it's 87 degrees.
Next news in 30 minutes or when it...
Give it another minute.
Independent Talk, 1100 KFNX.
I just feel like something's missing.
I know. What we had was so big.
And warm and bright.
And yellow.
Oh, I really miss the sun.
No sun? No problem. Centrum, the most trusted multivitamins, now have more of the vitamin D3 you need. Get the vitamin D you could be missing this winter with Centrum multivitamins, now our highest level of D3 ever. Check Sunday's newspaper for a coupon.
You're home after a long day, preparing dinner when...
Ew! What's that? It smells like rotten eggs.
That might be a natural gas leak.
It can't be. We don't have any natural gas appliances.
Even if you don't use natural gas, that rotten egg odor could be a sign of a leak in your neighborhood. Because gas lines can be buried anywhere.
Shut up.
No, speak up. If you ever suspect a leak, leave immediately and call 911 and Southwest Gas.
Thanks, deep voice narrator.
You're very welcome.
If I traded it all, if I gave it all away for one thing.
Welcome back.
Wouldn't that be
We are talking with David Fisher. He is the CEO of Landmark Capital. And we were talking a little bit at the break about all these different things. But there was something that you talked about just before we went to a break, and it was pieces of the puzzle. And can you bring that together for us now?
Yeah, let's to understand what the picture looks like, let's look at the individual pieces of the puzzle. So if we're talking about what the world looks like, economically, financially speaking, you have to look at some of the pieces of the puzzle, which is the debt of our country, which is $19 trillion and growing. It'll be $20 trillion by the time President Obama leaves office. And I said that 10 years ago, or 8 years ago, after the first year of him being in office, that when the debt escalated the most under his presidency, that the debt was going to be an issue. And obviously it is. So the debt is an unmanageable item according to the Congressional Budget Office of our country, which is not Republican or Democrat. It is just saying that this is the debt of our country, which is now unmanageable. So that's one piece of the puzzle. There's many other pieces, like the Fed. The Fed is now in a place of uncertainty. They don't know if they should raise rates, lower rates, or go to negative interest rates. So that's causing a lot of uncertainty, which is causing a lot of volatility in the marketplace today. So you have that piece of the puzzle. The government, our country's leaders, do not have a plan. And we're going to have a changeover come next January in an inauguration of who's going to lead the country again. but they're going to inherit a major problem, and our government is not doing anything about what you call unfunded liabilities. They're tapping in. They're doing bail-ins. I just read to you what President Obama just did in a bail-in. Well, there's actually been 5 bail-ins in our country in the last 3 years where our president has gone into, according to the Secretary of Treasury, has gone into the Treasury and taken almost $800 billion of money that's unfunded. If you add up the unfunded liabilities of our country, it's $100 trillion. That's money that we've obligated to pay that we can't pay through either we stole it from the Treasury or we took it from the Social Security Fund or the Disability Fund. They're all unfunded. They're upside down. So that's another piece of the puzzle. The dollar is a big key to this. The dollar's been strong. We don't have a weak currency. We have a strong currency right now. But what's happening in the backdrop of this, there's been the biggest sell-off in the history since the Treasury's been collecting data on who's selling the dollar. In 2015, we had the biggest sell-off of the dollar in history since 1978. Now, this is the Treasury's report. So at the end of the day, this is all about who's going to hold the dollar. And if the Treasury bill is created because our country is overspending, the government, and we have to create a Treasury that normally gets bought by investors, either central banks or investors from around the world, and those investors are backing away from buying it and, in addition, selling it, well, who's going to hold the bag?
Well, we have also these two things that you've not necessarily created, but you have made available to the public from anywhere that will help them do it at an affordable cost. It's your private storage of precious metals, IRA, as easy as 1, 2, 3. You're going to get that information. Also, this coming bail-in that he's talking about, it's how to avoid it from you. It's a white page that he wrote, and it's brand new, so it's all the information is there. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll-free, it's 1-866-536-1100. You know what we haven't done is we haven't given out some of your information, too, because, you know, you say you get a lot of phone calls and a lot of people are asking questions. The only way you're going to know by me giving it out, so here you go. It's 602-287-9200. It's landmarkgold.com. You can go on there and check out a lot of the things that he's saying about.
So when you put all these pieces of the puzzle and the last piece, which is our model, the bail-in model that has been put together, and it started with the FDIC. In 2010, the Bank of England and the FDIC started working on a plan to stop more bailouts in our country. And because the FDIC doesn't have enough insurance to bail out companies and other banks. So they said we got to come up with a plan to stop that. And that's how the Dodd-Frank Act was created. But in my hand, I brought it with me. Here's the template that people can go to the FDIC.gov. This is the template for the bail-in in our system. This was put together in a joint effort by the Bank of England and the FDIC. So what happened here recently, just a couple of days ago, the person from the Bank of England, former Bank England Governor Lord Mervyn King, he just came out and Reuters picked up his quotes on February 29th, just a few days ago, and he's saying that another crisis is for certain. Now keep in mind, Carol, this is the guy who's put this all together for our country to say, here's what you do in a crisis. Now he's sounding the alarm again, saying there is another crisis. In fact, his quote is, another crisis is certain, and the failure to tackle the problems of the world economy makes it likely that it will come sooner rather than later, end quote. So he's saying because there is no plan to tackle the debtness of countries to get out of debt, we're going to have a financial crisis. Debt is what caused and triggered a financial crisis before, leveraged money, which is debt. Debt is going to be the thing that will cause and trigger this next crisis, and nobody knew for certain when it was going to happen before. Most naysayers said, that's never going to happen. Yet it did happen, and the same things are brewing today. And the guy who wrote the paper on Here's How to Take Care of It is saying it.
Well, again, we have our lines open here, and we want everybody to be able to call in and get his information on this. So I just want to make sure of what we're going to be doing on all of this. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Okay, so what we're going to do, we have our lines open here. You can get the information for us. You can also check him out on his website, which is landmarkcapital.com. And we have Peter from Tempe. You're on the line. What's your question?
Well, this is such a horrible situation. I've seen this coming for years. And my big concern is what's going to happen to real estate values, and should someone be positioned in a position where their house is paid off, or if they are able to acquire rental properties at that time, would that be a smart way to go?
Well, Peter, first of all, thank you for your call. I'm not an economist, but I think the real estate market is a lot healthier today than it was in pre-2008. There's not a significant amount of leveraged money out there compared to back then. And I don't really think, if I had to speculate, look into my, quote, crystal ball, that the trigger of this next crisis will not come from the real estate market. Of course, it didn't come from the real estate market before. It came from Wall Street, which was Lehman Brothers, that brought down the system through leveraged banking system. But here's the problem. There's no entity that's really immune, especially in the paper markets. But real estate is a little bit more insulated than from being in a paper market like a stock, bond, and mutual fund, rather than because it's a physical, tangible asset. And the good news is banks have done a lot of work towards getting their books unleveraged. We've already gone through that. And most people learn, I don't want to be highly leveraged in my real estate. So I don't know if we're going to see that same thing, but I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. I certainly would be diversified.
Yes, I agree.
So we're going to give you the information. Do you have another question real quickly?
No, that was it pretty much,
okay.
And that helps me a lot. Thank you.
Well, we're going to get you connected with him. He'll do a free consultation with you, and you can talk further about that at another time.
You know, and piggybacking Peter's comment, we always advocate that if you look at 2008 and you look at the model that we still hold today as a guideline to move from, 25% in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 25% in cash, 25% in real estate, and 25% in precious metals. That's a well-diverse, properly balanced portfolio, and that will help people avert another major crisis if they're diversified. When people say, I want to do a lot of real estate or a lot of stocks or a lot of any one asset class, usually that's when you get into trouble financially.
Peter, I'm going to give this number to you now. It's 602-287-9200. He'll do a free consultation with you. Also, everybody, you can get go on his website, check out all what he's talking about, landmarkgold.com. And we're going to give everybody the information that we have here. We're talking about, everyone's going to get it. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. What's the next thing?
So when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together and we get to the place of what a chief executive from the governor of the Bank of England is saying, there must be a lot of light to this. There must be something happening when the very same person who wrote the plan in 2010 to help avoid this is now saying, we're gonna hit it straight on. We're going to have another crisis. So I think there's sounding the alarm. We should prepare. And this probably resonates with a lot of people, that something's not fixed.
Well, I mean, the market was crazy.
Yeah.
So everybody knows. I mean, you don't have to even be in the market to know that something's not right.
This is why people are moving towards gold right now. Gold is the #1 asset class of performance this year. It's up 15%. I said in early January, gold is going to move 15 to 30%. We've already moved the 15. Somebody asked me that today on another radio program. Well, are you going to readjust your numbers? I might have to. I might have to not be so conservative.
We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further with David. Again, we want everyone to have this information. It's informational. That's all it is. And you can make your decision with that. It's 602-277-5369.
If I traded it all, if I gave it all away.
And we are back. And we are talking with David Fisher, the CEO of Landmark Capital. And yes, it's scary. And no, we can't fix the government, but we can take care of ourselves. And so the information that we're giving everybody today that you're talking about is for them to think about things.
Absolutely. You know, if the Federal Reserve doesn't put our currency on a gold standard, then it's time that everyone should put themselves on their own gold standard, because we know the government's not going to, neither will the Fed do this. The government's not going to be able to pay down this $19 trillion. They have to do something different. They either have to cause a currency devaluation and pay down the debt with devalued dollars, or they got to inflate our money by raising interest rates to devalue the debt that way, or they got to do something aggressive called a bail-in and seize portions of the asset. And that, unfortunately, looks like the direction our country is headed. And this is why I think there's a big movement towards gold in this year. This is the last year of President Obama's presidency. He doesn't want to be left known in history as the president that enlarged the debt the most ever in history, yet that is the fact. So he could go down in history as maybe the president that said, let's manage our debt the most effectively. And what he did with the Affordable Care Act, he does financially with the debt structure of our country. And that, I've always said that this is just the financial side of the Obama healthcare plan, a plan that is forced upon us because of the beliefs of the president about us, saying we have to move towards socialism. And this is why we've seen a big movement in gold this year. Ironically, Deutsche Bank, the largest bank in Europe, just came out and said it's time to buy gold. Here's the article, just 2 days ago. A bank, not a gold company, not a gold index firm, not a gold mutual fund, a bank saying it's time to buy gold, the largest bank in Europe. So when these things are screaming off the headlines, it says something is up. When gold is now being talked about on financial news every single day, in fact, today's news, they said expect a major movement in gold for quite some time now. So we're in a bull market in gold. We clearly are. And I'm going to make a prediction for the next 2 to 5 years. So imagine for a moment the country that needs your money, everybody, the listeners' money, they need it because there is no plan. And they're focusing on getting it, and they legally have right to get it anytime they want. So imagine for a second you divert a portion of your savings account or your retirement account, and you take physical possession of metals in your hand. It's not only going to give you an insurance policy and give you that peace of mind and solve that problem that you deep down in your gut that's saying something's going to happen, I want to make sure I do the right thing. You're going to be properly diversified. But it also could be, Carol, the #1 investment of this year. So far, that is the case.
So can you go and tell people again about this, that because to me, they might have not heard it, but it was the top of the hour. Can you quickly tell them again real quick?
A bail-in is where the country comes and needs money, and they come and seize your assets. So the plan is that how do you safeguard yourself from that? And that's the report that I put together. The two reports, one talks about how the country is wanting to do this and the laws that have been set up to do this. The other report is how to safeguard yourself by taking physical possession of your metals and transferring your IRA into precious metals and holding it physically without a tax liability.
And he's made it extremely affordable for everybody to do this. And the number to call him for a free consultation is 602-287-9200. He's at landmarkgold.com. We want to give it to everyone out there. Our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. We have about 3 more minutes.
You know, I've said nobody will take care of your money better than you. This is taking care of your money. This is putting it in your hands. Imagine for a second tomorrow if the bank shut down, like they did in Cyprus for over a week and a half. That would cause panic. People say, "Why? How come I'm not hearing about this?" Can you imagine if the president came out tonight at 6 o'clock and they announced he's going to make a very important news, and he says, by Friday this week, we're going to close down banks, we're going to shut down brokerage account, and we're going to seize 56 to 71% of your money. It's going to help America get back on its feet. It's the most patriotic thing, so prepare in advance. You're not going to do that. That would be pandemonium. But yet there's been more information that is set up to do this in our country than all 14 countries combined. So I'm going to challenge everybody to listen deep inside yourself. You feel it. You think it. Engage in it now. Engage in your money, because if you take care of your money now, it will be there to take care of you when you need it most. The currency is not going to get any more stronger. The dollar will continue to devalue over time. We're going to lose purchasing power. The Fed doesn't have the fix, neither does the government. That's why they're putting it on the back of Americans. So engage yourself and prepare. Noah would build an ark before it even started raining. Yet he knew the flood was coming. There was something deep down inside of him that resonated in his spirit, says, there's going to be a flood and I need to prepare. Don't ignore that. Contact our company and learn the facts. There's no pressure. There's no obligation. But engage in yourself. That's what this is about.
And he'll do a free consultation with you. He wants to talk to everyone. He wants to educate you. You can call him direct at 602-287-9200. Check him out on his website. It's landmarkgold.com. Our lines are open here. I know we had a caller that called in earlier. We might have a room for another one, but our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll-free it's 1-866-536-1100. We also want everyone to get his white paper and all his information about all of this so that you can make an educated decision.
So imagine that the day has happened, but you bought gold and silver in advance. You'd have a peace of mind. In fact, when people get their precious metals from us, and we go over this with them, if they're out of state, on the phone, and in state, we get the chance to meet them face to face, not always, there's such a peace of mind that comes over their countenance. They feel at ease. They go, wow, I'm now prepared. This is financial insurance. You buy it ahead of time, and it could be one of the best investments.
Right, and you've made it affordable, and let's talk about this too, because I think we talked about it this one time, and I'm not sure if I remember exactly how it went. People don't necessarily have to have a lot of money to do this.
They can get started for just a few $100s if they want. It's not what you have, it's what you do with what you have. Being a good steward of the funds that has been entrusted with you. We all have assets. Our assets might be big or might be small. That's just terminology. But having the asset is the key. And what you do with those assets is what you've been required to as part of being placed on this earth.
Also, real quickly, just to get this out there too, is the idea with your company is you're taking physical, you have possession of it. It's yours. You're holding it.
Yes.
Whereas when you go, like a lot of people hear it on television or whatever, these 800 numbers about buying it, but you don't even know where the gold is.
There's a lot of companies who do retirements and IRAs, and the client doesn't know that they can take physical possession, and their metal is stored in Wilmington, Delaware Depository Servicing Company. We can do the same thing, but 99% of my clients say, why would I want to have it way over there when I can have it here for the same thing? And so that's what we figured out. This lawyer did figure out this plan that we've been doing lots of these over the last 6 years. So this is about engagement. This is about following through what you already know what to do and getting your money protected. We just help you understand the little pieces of the steps along the way. We hold your hand. It's a turnkey operation. It's really simple, and people will have that big sigh, that big peace of mind once they've done this.
You know what it is? It's being proactive.
Yeah, it is.
More than anything, it's really to getting this information, reading it, and having a consultation with David so that he can talk to you a little bit about it and make you understand.
You wouldn't dare drive your car without insurance, nor have a home without homeowners insurance, or not have health insurance. And so you should not dare not have financial insurance. That's what this is, financial insurance that will actually probably be a huge investment for you.
And knowing that you have it in your own hand where you're in control of it. Now, we're going to let you call throughout the rest of the show for these pieces of paper. One of them is the white paper, the coming bail-in, how to avoid it from affecting you. And also the private storage, a precious metal IRA is as easy as 1, 2, 3. All of this information you're going to get through us. Call here at 602-277-5369 and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. For everyone that's listening out there too and not in Arizona, he can help anyone from anywhere. Check him out. He does a free consultation with everyone. He wants to educate you. His direct line is 602-287-9200. It's landmarkgold.com. Again, landmarkgold.com.